Chapter 1. Death. Beloved disciples, I shall speak to you of the problem of death. Death is our crown. After death, the soul enters into the astral light. When the hour of death comes, the angel of death approaches the deathbed. There is a choir of angels of death. This choir is conducted by the planet Saturn. Each angel of death carries a book. In this book are the names of all the souls who must depart from the flesh. No one dies a day before his appointed time. The angel of death simply removes the soul from the body. The soul is linked to the body by a fine heavenly cord of a silvery color. The angel of death breaks the cord so that the soul cannot re-enter the body. After death, souls see themselves wearing the same clothes that they were wearing in life. Little by little, the consciousness of those souls awakens, and they begin to realize that they no longer belong to this material world of flesh and bones. There exist different secrets in order to converse with the souls of the dead. Place in a room the picture of your deceased beloved, and every night at midnight enter the room. Put next to the picture the favorite food that your deceased beloved liked the most. Serve the food on the same plates that the deceased used. Light a candle and call him or her 3 times by his name. Then sit next to the picture and start to meditate personally on the life of the defunct one, his history, imagining what he was when he was alive, until you fall asleep. Every night you can perform the experiment at the same hour, in the same room, and seated on the same chair and in the same place, until you can see, hear, and converse personally with the deceased. What is important is for you to have a lot of faith, patience, and much constancy. If you do not get weary, in the end, one given night, the soul of your beloved one will appear, and then you will have the pleasure of conversing with the beloved relative that has departed to the beyond. What is important is to see, hear, touch, and perceive him/her. In the East, there exists a cave where those who want to see Buddha enter in order to invoke him. On a certain occasion, a Chinese man who wanted to see Buddha entered the cave and invoked him. Yet the Buddha did not appear. Thus the man swore that he would never abandon the cave until the Buddha appeared before him. Thus the man endured many days desperately calling the Buddha, until finally the Buddha appeared in the middle of the cave filled with light and beauty. Then the Buddha blessed him, and he left the cave very happy. So this is the same system of invocation used in order to see the souls of the dead and to converse with them. Evolution of the disembodied soul. Between death and new birth, the good souls must come unrolled within each one of the planetary auras, whose mixtures form that which all books of spiritualism denominate planes. The legend of Zoroaster states, "Everyone whose good deeds exceeds his sin by 3 grams goes to heaven. Everyone whose sin is greater goes to hell, while he in whom they are equal remains in the Hamistikon until the future body or resurrection." Nowadays, in these times of perversity and crude atheistic materialism, a portion of the disembodied join the submerged mineral kingdom, the infernal worlds, after the judgment. Also, many are the millions who enter a new womb immediately, without having had a good vacation within the superior worlds. Certainly, the selection process exists in all of nature, and few are those who achieve intermediate liberation and the transitional Buddhic state. The embodied souls join eternity under the influences of the moon and exit eternity through the doors of the moon. In the lesson of Cancer, we taught that the entire life of all people is processed under the influences of the moon, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Life closes with a lunar end. Really, the moon takes us, and the moon brings us as well. The 7 types of planetary vibrations, in their indicated classical order, also repeat themselves after death, for, as it is above, so it is below. The essences who, after having been judged, have the right to intermediate liberation and the transitional Buddhic state, need a certain type of very special ecstasy and constant right effort in order to become liberated, to escape from the lunar bodies and the ego. Fortunately, different groups of masters assist the disembodied and help them in this work with the rays of grace. In the same manner that republics, kingdoms, presidents, kings, governors, etc. exist in this cellular world in which we live, likewise in the molecular world there are many paradises, regions, and kingdoms where essences enjoy indescribable states of happiness. Samael on Weor, Cotegnum, the esoteric treatise of Hermetic astrology. The souls of the dead in the astral plane have to cross the astral spheres of the Moon, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Each one of these planets is wrapped in an astral atmosphere. Astral atmospheres penetrate and interpenetrate one another without blending. All these atmospheres are related to the air we breathe. The Moon. When the soul enters the lunar sphere, it feels strongly drawn toward the place where the body is buried, and it wants to act exactly as if it had flesh and bones. These souls sit down to have meals in their homes and feel the same physical needs as before. Mercury. When the soul enters the atmosphere of Mercury, it sees that the atmosphere is becoming clearer for it, and all things appear even more beautiful to it than before. Those souls who never had any kind of religion, materialistic souls, feel out of place there, like chickens in an unfamiliar barnyard. They suffer unspeakably. Those who were delirious and fanatical about religious matters feel immense remorse for their evil deeds because they understand the harm that they did to others. They suffer unspeakably. Some time later, the soul enters the solar atmosphere. In this atmosphere, we understand the oneness of lives. We understand that the life that throbs within the heart is the same life that throbs within the very heart of each world that it remembers throughout space. In the solar sphere, we understand what universal brotherhood is, and we feel that we are one great human family. Those souls who are selfish experience deep remorse here in the solar sphere, and great moral suffering. Those souls suffer the remorse for their evil deeds. In the solar sphere, we see a brother in every face. Mars. Later on, the soul enters the Martian sphere. In this sphere, we feel the longing to separate ourselves forever from the things of the material world. In this sphere, we lead a mystical life of enchantment, and we feel the strong influence of Francis of Assisi, of Buddha. Here we feel that the life of each flower is our life. Then we long to withdraw from the material world forever. Jupiter. Later, the soul enters the sphere of Jupiter. In this sphere, we understand that religion we had on earth was only a school that we had to go through. Here we give up that earthly religion, and then we enter into cosmic consciousness. Saturn. In this life, the soul becomes submerged much later in the sphere of Saturn, and then floats delightedly among all the stars in space. It visits distant worlds and is submerged in an infinity full of indescribable music, of delightful orchestras that resound within the immense chorale of eternity, where only the true happiness of limitless space reigns. Reincarnation and karma. Within the bosom of infinity, the soul sees thousands of indescribable beings, or angels, archangels, thrones, virtues, powers, etc. And then it understands that those divine beings were people who perfected themselves and who suffered greatly in the school of life. The soul understands that life is a school, and it wishes to return to that school to perfect itself. When the soul wishes to return to that school of life to perfect itself, when the soul wants to return to the world, then the angels of destiny take that soul away to a new home. The angels of destiny unite with the soul, or we should say, connect the soul with the spermatozoon of the father's semen. This spermatozoon, chosen by the soul who is going to be born, fertilizes the womb. The soul stays within the maternal womb for 9 months, forming its new physical body. The soul is not a prisoner, however, for it can enter and leave the maternal womb and its body at will. After 9 months, the soul is born with a new child's body. If in the previous reincarnation we did much evil, then in the following one it is our turn to suffer the consequences, and we are born with very bad luck. Our business deals fail, misery pursues us, and we suffer immensely. If previously we had taken away another man's wife, then ours is now taken from us. If we were bad parents, if we did not know how to treat our children well, then it is our lot to be born into a place more bitter than bile. Our parents will make us suffer the same way that we made our children suffer in the previous reincarnation. He who sows thunderbolts has no choice but to reap storms. Let him who sows corn eat his corn. Each person reaps what he sows. If God sends a soul that has done no good to be born in comfortable surroundings, and souls who have done no evil to be born into misery, where would God's justice be? A genius becomes a genius because in millions of lives he has struggled to achieve perfection. We are the result of our previous reincarnations. With the yardstick with which you measure, you will be measured. There are 42 masters of karma. Karma is the law of compensation. In each reincarnation, we should strive to be more and more perfect. We have come into this world millions of times, and it is our lot to keep returning until we become perfect. There is a system for remembering our past reincarnations. This system is the retrospective exercise. The disciple lies in his bed every night and then practices retrospective exercises. The disciple begins by remembering everything that happened 1 hour before he went to bed, 2 hours before, every moment of the afternoon and the morning throughout the day. The disciple makes the effort to remember everything that happened during 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, 10 years, 20 years behind, until minutely remembering the entire history of his life. The disciple must make the effort to remember the first 5 years of his life. The disciple will notice that this is very difficult. The first 5 years of life are very difficult to remember. However, there exists a secret to remember this. The disciple must fall asleep while mentally pronouncing the following mantras: Ra, Om, Ga, Om. The disciple will slumber while pronouncing mentally these 2 words and will make the effort to remember in his sleepy state everything that happened to him during the first 5 years of the history of his infancy. These manners of dreams are truthful. Our disciples must open the Bible and study the book of Daniel so that they can learn about this. After our disciples have remembered their entire present life, then they must make the effort to remember the last moments of their past reincarnation. If the disciple, while performing this practice, quietly falls asleep, then on any given coming date during sleep, he might remember his entire past reincarnation. With this secret, any disciple can not only remember his past reincarnation, but moreover he can remember all of his past reincarnations. What is necessary is to practice every night with a lot of faith until attaining triumph. Karma. In the inner worlds there is a temple where the 42 judges of karma officiate. They are the 42 jackals. They are named as such because they cover their heads with a kind of religious mask shaped like the head of a wolf dog or jackal. These 42 masters are the masters of the law of compensation, the law of karma. Everything evil that we do to others in past reincarnations, we must pay for in the following incarnation. One pays karma not only for the evil one does, but also for the good that one fails to do when able to do it. He who has the means with which to pay, pays and comes out well in his dealings. He who does not have the means to pay, undoubtedly must pay with inevitable pain. The lords of karma say, "Do good deeds so as to pay your debts." The lion of the law is combated with the scale. If the plate containing bad deeds weighs more, then we can put good deeds in the other plate. The saying goes, increase the weight of the plate containing good deeds to make it tip in your favor. This is how we can cancel old debts and avoid grief for ourselves. When an inferior law is transcended by a superior law, the superior law erases the inferior law. Our disciples must learn to travel in the astral body to visit the temple of the lords of karma. The chief of this temple is Anubis. The key to traveling in the astral body is very simple. The disciple should lie in his bed and try to go to sleep calmly. Then the disciple should get up from his bed while he is slumbering and leave his room. If the disciple jumps slightly, intending to stay afloat in the air, he will see with astonishment that he is delightfully floating in the air and that he can travel with the astral body to any place on earth. The disciple can go with the astral body to the palace of the lords of karma. In this temple he can settle his affairs with the lords of karma. When we say affairs, we refer to our outstanding debts to cosmic justice. The lords of the law also grant credit, but all credit must be paid back by doing good works for the benefit of humanity. We must learn to go out in the astral body to settle our affairs personally with the lords of karma. When a man learns to manage his accounts, he can guide his life better. The innermost. St. Paul said, "Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you?" 1 Corinthians 3:16. The Spirit of God is our divine spirit. It is the innermost. Thus, the innermost is the most divine thing that we have within ourselves. It is God among us. The innermost is beautiful, sublime, pure. The innermost has two things, the soul and the body. The soul is in contact with the sympathetic nervous system. The innermost is in contact with the cerebrospinal system, that is, with the cerebrospinal column. The soul suffers, enjoys itself, works, acquires experience, commits errors, is imperfect. The soul is sinful. The soul lets itself be carried away by passions and suffers for this. Thus, if the soul wishes to become an angel again, it has no choice but to put a stop to its defects, to become pure again, to purify itself, to cleanse itself, to achieve unity with the innermost. When the soul merges with the innermost, that is, mingles with the innermost, when it again becomes one with him, then it becomes an angel. The innermost is a flame. The soul is another flame. When the two flames join, they form a single flame. This flame is an angel. And thus angels are perfect people, repentant souls, people who repented their sins, their evil deeds, their fornications, their acts of adultery, etc., God is the divine spirit who is within us, the universal spirit of life. He is the divine fire which is in the rock, in the waters, in the air, everywhere in space. All infinity is animated by divine fire. God is a sea of burning fire. The burning fire is everywhere. Fire is God. Fire is Pentecost. It is God. The fire that Moses saw in the bush of Horeb is God. The innermost that we have within ourselves is a flame of divine fire. It is God within us. The innermost is the divine person. It is the heavenly person who is within us. When the soul mingles with the innermost, it becomes Him. Then we become angels. Angels are in nature. They are in the rivers, in the sea, in the clouds, in the volcanoes, everywhere. Sexual magic. We left Eden through the gates of sex. Eden is sex itself. We can only re-enter Eden through the gate we left through. This gate is sex. No one can enter paradise through the wrong gate or gates. They do not exist in paradise. Paradise has no such gates. We must enter the same way we left. Eden is sex itself. Sexual forces are everywhere. Everything that exists in the world is the child of sex. We ourselves exist in the world because we had a father and a mother. In Eden, there are two trees, the tree of knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. We left Eden for having eaten the forbidden fruit. We cannot enter Eden so long as we continue eating this fruit. At the base of the spinal column, there is a bone called the coccyx. In this bone, there is an ethereal center called Muladhara, and within this ethereal center, there is an inlaid serpent of fire. This fire is the fire of the Pentecost, the fire of the Holy Spirit. This fire is terrific. It has tremendous power. This is the igneous serpent of our magical powers. In India, this serpent is called the Kundalini. The wise men of India awaken Kundalini with sexual magic. Sexual magic is very easy. A man and a woman may sexually unite and become one flesh. Both, however, men and women must withdraw from the sexual act before and without spilling the seminal liquor through the orgasm. The seminal liquor must not be spilled within the womb. Moreover, the seed must not be allowed to spill outside that organ. The man must withdraw from the woman and the woman from the man, restraining the sexual impulse to avoid spilling the seminal liquor. By restraining the sexual impulse, the semen, or sexual energy, is turned into very subtle energies that rise up to the brain through two delicate nerve cords. These two cords are the two witnesses which we are told about in the Apocalypse. They are the two olive branches of the temple, the two candlesticks that stand before the throne of the God of earth. A yogi makes his home without needing to break the sixth commandment of the law of God, "Thou shalt not fornicate." During the act of sexual magic, it is possible for a spermatozoon, which the lunar hierarchies use to fertilize the womb, to escape without there being any need to spill the semen. God is the innermost, and His throne is the spinal column. Sexual forces are solar and lunar. When the solar and lunar atoms unite in the coccyx, then the igneous snake of our magical powers awakens. With this snake, we can awaken all the powers of the wise men. This serpent enters through the lower orifice of the spinal cord. The cord is hollow inside. Along the spinal cord, there is a canal through which the sacred fire of the Holy Spirit rises upward little by little until it reaches the brain. When the igneous serpent reaches the brain, then the soul is united with the innermost and thus enters Eden. The soul who unites with the innermost has power over earth, over water, over fire. It can command winds and hurricanes. It can hear and see the things of the heavens, of the earth and the abyss, and is able to know all divine things. Jesus Christ said, "Verily, verily, I say to you, the one believing in me will also do the works that I do, and greater works than these will he do." And so the only way to enter paradise is through the gate through which we left it. That gate is sex. Nobody can enter paradise through false gates. Single people must transmute the seminal liquor with deep breathing, keeping the lungs full 30 seconds or more. This swada exercise must be performed daily. The 7 churches. The 7 churches mentioned in the Apocalypse of St. John are not on the Asian continent, as is presumed by the ignorant. They are in the spinal column. The Apocalypse of St. John is a book sealed with 7 seals. The book is man itself. No one except the Lamb, the innermost who lies within us, can open this book and remove the 7 seals. The 7 churches are 7 nerve centers in the spinal column. Ephesus. The first church is the Church of Ephesus. It is located in the coccygeal cavity. Within it is the sacred serpent, the metal snake, the bronze serpent that healed the Israelites in the desert. When this church is opened, we acquire power over volcanoes and earthquakes, and over the creatures that live under the ground. Smyrna. When the serpent reaches the prostate, it awakens the second church of Smyrna, and we acquire power over water and storms. Pergamos. When the sacred serpent rises in the central channel of the spinal column to the level of the navel, the third church, the Church of Pergamos, is awakened. We then acquire power over lightning, fire, and erupting volcanoes. We can command volcanoes, and they obey us. We can command fire, and the universal fire obeys us. Thyatira. When the snake reaches the heart, the Church of Thyatira is awakened. This church gives us power over cyclones, over the wind, and over hurricanes. Sardis. When the sacred snake reaches the level of the throat, we can hear the speech of the angels, the words of the souls of the dead, etc. This is the Church of Sardis. Philadelphia. When the snake rises through the spinal column and reaches as high as the brow, then we can see things of the other world, the astral light, the souls of the dead, archangels, seraphim, powers, virtues, thrones, etc. This is the Church of Philadelphia. Laodicea. When the snake reaches the upper part of the cranium, the Church of Laodicea opens. This is the diamond eye. He who opens this eye knows all the things of heaven and earth. He becomes tremendous. He sees everywhere. He is unaware of nothing. After this, the soul unites with the innermost and becomes a master, prophet, wise man, enlightened being, possessor of power. He sees all, hears all, is ignorant of nothing. Once the soul has united totally, absolutely with the innermost, then it becomes an angel. Angels are perfected people. Astral voyages. The soul is enshrouded in a fluidic body called the astral body. The astral body is similar to the physical body. Within the astral body is the soul, with its mind, with its will, with its conscience, with its feelings. Thus, the astral body is marvelous. This is the soul's body. When the flesh and bone body is asleep, the soul leaves the flesh and bone body and wanders all over. The soul voyages in its astral body. When King Nebuchadnezzar lay sleeping in his bed, he thought about what he would be in the future. Then he fell asleep. The king's soul then left the flesh and bone body, traveled in the astral plane, and saw a statue whose head was of gold, its breast and arms were of silver, its legs were of iron, and its feet were partly iron and partly baked clay. The king ordered all wise men, astrologers, and Chaldean soothsayers to be called forth so that they could prophesy the dream of the statue for him and give their statement. No one was capable of telling the king about his dream, for he did not want to tell it to anyone. On account of this, the wise men went to their death. The prophet Daniel went to his house and prayed to the Lord Jehovah with his companions, and then went to bed and slept peacefully. Daniel's soul then left his body and saw in the astral world King Nebuchadnezzar's famous statue. The next day, Daniel went before the king and prophesied the dream of the statue for him and gave him his statement, that is, the interpretation. The king was astounded, and honors were heaped upon Daniel. And so, dreams are astral experiences. Our disciples must call them astral experiences and not dreams. Our disciples must say, "Last night I was at such and such a place. Last night I was in the astral body at such and such a place. I had an experience with so-and-so in such and such a temple," etc. In the astral body, we masters subject disciples to many tests. In the astral plane and in astral bodies, our disciples receive their initiations in the temples of the astral plane. The astral plane is known in the Bible by the name of Mount. On the Mount, Jesus transfigured himself before his disciples. The Mount is astral. During sleep, our disciples are on the Mount. It is in the interest of our disciples to study the book of Daniel in the Bible. All of Daniel's visions were on the Mount, on the astral plane, and not on the physical plane. Our disciples, upon awakening from their material sleep, must not move, because with the body's movement, the astral body is stirred, and recollections are lost. Upon awakening, disciples must make an effort to remember all those places where they were while their bodies were sleeping. They must make an effort to remember all their past experiences on the astral plane. Our disciples must not recount their experiences to anyone.